So, as I'm sitting here preparing for this reading, there is this song slash jingle that I cannot get out of my mind. And it's funny because it led me down the rabbit hole that eventually led me to the topic of this video, right? So, if you've never met me before, right? I am Mel. Hi. I am a professional astrologer. I'm an attorney, but I'm also an intuitive. And so the way that I work is, yes, I know technical things, but I'm also very much tapped into my intuition, into what spirit tells me, how I'm guided, etc. So when I heard this slogan and I couldn't get it out of my head, I was like, yeah, I got to follow the bender on this one. So the slogan is be all that you can be in the Army Reserves. Now, if you watched TV in the 90s or 2000s, that slogan was rampant because they were trying to get people to sign up for the armed forces, right? And I'm like, why am I hearing this song? And it's because it reminds me of someone who demonstrates this exact thing I'm about to talk about today in their life, like in real time. So, this person was in the army, right? They're definitely a veteran, but they were someone who was very much attracted to and traveled to South Africa a lot. Now, they had to do so for business, but they were constantly in South Africa, like 3 or 4 times a year, right? And they would always call me, they would always FaceTime me when they were out there, and they were so, like, to put it in, I mean, for lack of a better term, they were always so bright, they were always so energetic, like, they always felt so shiny when they were out there, as opposed to when they were here in the US, if I'm being honest, right? I thought nothing of it at the time. But then something told me, why don't you look at this person's astrocartography map? And lo and behold, when I did, they have their sun ascendant line going straight through Johannesburg. And I was like, you can't even make this up. Like astrology for the win every single time. Now, this isn't meant to say like, "Oh my gosh, I knew it," or it's not about that. This story really encompasses how sort of the theory and the ethos behind astrocartography generally. It's not just about travel to your Venus line for love, travel to Jupiter for this, especially the way that it was intended and how astrocartography was developed by its forefather, this guy named Jim Lewis. It's really about awakening different parts of yourself. Not so much, and of course, you can use it to set intentions. Like if you want to achieve something, you could travel someplace. There's remote activation, there's all the things. And if you want to know more about that, I just dropped a video about that last week that I'll link in the description box below. But it's about awakening different parts of you, parts that need to come online, parts that are suppressed, parts that need to see the light of day, and different places activate those different parts. And today we're going to talk about the sun line. It's like the first place that you would start with anything, right? There's sun sign astrology. When you look at your natal chart, you would look at your sun, where it's placed, like that's sort of where everything begins. And so, of course, when we're going to talk about astrocartography, that is a great place to start. It's the place where you can perhaps answer the question, who am I? And the answer to that question is a little more complex, but not as difficult as it may seem. So if you want to know more about the sun line in astrocartography, in real life terms, this isn't meant to be like a very technical kind of video. This is meant to give you the vibe, the flavor, and sort of the work around when it comes to your sun line in astrocartography. So if you want to know more, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you're new around here, hi, hello, and welcome. My name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if you are new, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So as you can tell by the intro, this video is all about your sun line in astrocartography. Now, this is a very specialized branch of astrology, and I definitely do not want to minimize that. There's a lot of discourse going on right now on the interwebs about astrocartography, what it means, who can teach it, all these things. All I know is that it is a wonderful tool to help you have a better life experience. That's how I teach it. That's how I implement it with my clients. And that's how I talk about it. All right. And in this video, again, we're going to be talking about the sunlight and astrocartography. So before we get into the specifics, let's get some groundwork laid first before we start talking about some more advanced things. So, first of all, astrocartography. If this is your first video that you're hearing about it, or if you're unfamiliar with the term, it is basically the astrology of place. It's the astrology of location. Basically, you take your natal chart and you superimpose it on the map of the world, and it can show you where different planetary energies are going to be activated for you throughout the world, right? Love it. And follow me on social media. I've talked about my particular experiences traveling to different places, how it turned out, how the energy, presented itself. So follow me on social so you could hear more about that. And subscribe to this channel and set notifications because I will be going through all of that at length throughout the next couple of months. So stay tuned. All right. But in any event, astrocartography, the astrology of place. Now, the very first thing I want you to remember when it comes to astrocartography is that your natal chart comes first. You may hear things about people just saying, go to your Venus line for love, go to Jupiter for expansion. All of that depends on what Venus and Jupiter are doing in your natal chart. So the first step is to understand your natal chart well. All right. Number two, when it comes to traveling versus relocating. Now, there are people who are like, okay, astrocartography only really pertains to relocating, right? Wrong. You could take a trip somewhere and still activate the energy. However, the energy is going to be a lot more potent and long lasting if you relocate somewhere as opposed to if you are merely visiting. So, if you're visiting, you're going to get a taste of it, or in some cases, that visit may plant a seed that will grow and sprout later on. However, if you are relocating there, not only are you going to be there energetically for the long haul, but you may even get a new natal chart along with it. So when you relocate someplace, you get what's called a relocation chart. And essentially, the relocation chart is you do your natal chart, right, with your birth date and the same birth time, but the location would change to wherever you're relocating to. And so that might change your natal chart and it'll give you a flavor of what you can experience in that location. It never overrides your natal chart. Your natal chart is always king and will always come first, but a relocation chart can sort of give you more information on that. Right. So those are the ground rules. The last thing I will say along those lines is there's something called remote activation. You don't need to physically be in a place. You can literally tap into the energy via the people, via like a walking tour on YouTube, like watching a YouTube video, immersing yourself in the culture, in the food, right? You don't need to physically be there in order to activate the energy. So that's another way that you can take advantage of the planetary energy of the place. So you can either physically go there on a trip, you can relocate there permanently, or you can access it remotely via remote activation. So I want you to remember that when I start going into the specifics of your sun line. So that being said, without further ado, let's do that. So in astrology, the sun represents your identity. Therefore, your sun line represents the places in the world that can amplify that solar energy in your natal chart. So, if you have your sun in Aries, where the sun is exalted, right? That solar energy, when you travel to your sun line, is only going to be amplified. If you have your sun in Libra, where the sun is in detriment, right? That experience of your sun, you will experience emphasized when on your sun line. Long story short, whenever you want to activate your vitality, your identity, your sense of self, your confidence, you would travel to your sun line. But what you must always remember is that you are who you are no matter where you are. So, whatever your sun is doing in your natal chart, that's only going to be exacerbated in your sun line or on your sun line, I should say, when you travel to your sun line. So, if your sun is well aspected, it's doing fabulous in your natal chart. Oh, when you travel to your sun line, depending, you will experience the same. Whereas the converse is also true. If your sun is not the greatest, When you visit your sun line, you may have, I'm not going to say you're going to have a bad experience, but you're going to have the experience that is promised to you in your natal chart. But long story short, sun line has everything to do with identity. Who are you? And sometimes who do you want to be? And this is where we get into the specifics of the actual sun lines. Because when people reduce astrocartography, they say, okay, travel to your sun line. But there are four sun lines, and they correspond to the different angles in your natal chart. So you have your sun ascendant line, your sun descendant line, your sun midheaven line, and your sun IC line. Each of these sun lines would activate a different sort of sector in your life as it relates to your identity. All right, so first, let's talk about your sun ascendant line. When we talk about the ascendant, we talk about us. We talk about how we present in the world. So you would travel to your sun ascendant line to work on yourself, your sense of self, your identity, your vitality, maybe even your physical health. Traveling to your sun ascendant line would be great for a birthday trip. It would also be great just to maybe even convalesce after an illness or something like that. It is the place where you would feel more like yourself. You could get yourself together. You can get back to yourself. It's a wonderful place to figure out who you are. Now, what's interesting is that the best way to understand all of this is to experience it. How your sense of self will be activated depends on various factors, right? It could depend on physically where you're at, obviously the astrocartography, but the culture of where you're at, the people, who you go on the trip with, like those are things that you should also take into account. But whatever experience you have along your sun line, particularly your sun ascendant line, will help to strengthen your sense of self, right? It's all about you when you travel to your sun ascendant line. So now let's take sort of the opposite of that, which is your sun descendant line. If your ascendant deals with you, your descendant deals with others, right? Your ascendant is your first house, your descendant is your seventh house. So when you travel to your sun descendant line, this is where you could figure out who you are in relation to other people. Traveling to your sun descendant line can show you how you show up in relationships, basically, what identity you have. Let's say perhaps that you are someone who's very autonomous. Maybe you do have sun in Aries, right? And you travel to your sun descendant. You may realize that either the people that you interact with when you get there, or perhaps the person that you interact with that you went with, maybe you clash with them. Maybe on the trip, you are very much concerned with what you want to do, where you want to go, and your independence. Meanwhile, the person that you're with is like, hey, but what if we do this? Why don't we do this together? And you're like, oh, you could do it. I want to do it on my own. You see how that sun descendant line, it brings the purview of relationships to your reality, but it shows you your independence in those relationships because you have your sun in Aries, right? Whatever your experience is, it's going to show you how you show up in relationships. And of course, that all goes back to what your sun is doing in your natal chart. But to recap, sun ascendant line, that's all about you and your identity. Your sun descendant line is all about you and your relationships, how you show up in them, and what kind of identity you have within them. Now let's go to the top of the chart, and this is your sun midheaven line. Now, for the people who want to be seen, who want to be visible, who want to have a revitalization of their career, travel to your sun midheaven line, depending on, again, what it's doing in your natal chart. But this is a place that will thrust you either into the limelight, that will garner you attention. This is sort of like celebrity status kind of energy. Now, some of you may be saying, yes, sign me up for that. But depending on what your sun is doing in your natal chart, maybe you're someone who has issues or hangups with visibility. This is where astrocartography comes really in handy because imagine you hate being seen. Imagine you hate attention. Imagine it feels uncomfortable or it sparks some kind of wound in you, right? And you inadvertently travel right to your sun midheaven line. Everything that you don't like is going to be activated and emphasized. And that can either be a breakthrough moment for you or it could be a breakdown moment for you, right? That's why I love astrocartography. It is not just helping you understand yourself better, it helps you not only be intentional, but can help you understand what you're walking into before you walk into it, right? But in any event, when it comes to your sun midheaven line, this is where you are seen. This is where you are. Think of it this way: the midheaven in your natal chart is at the very top of the chart. It's like high noon. So, this is the energy that you are cultivating when you go to your sun midheaven line. And again, that could be too much for some, but it could be just the right thing for other people. So, that's something to keep in mind. And the very opposite of that is your sun IC line. This is directly opposite your midheaven line. This is where you would go to cultivate family and privacy and home matters. But more so than that, your identity within them. Now, this is great if you are looking to develop an identity that has to do with home and with family, right? You know what this reminds me of? Now, you might also go to your moon line for this, but when I think of this, I think of like a baby moon, right? Some couples go on a trip while the woman is pregnant before she gives birth. It's sort of this, some people go on it for like a last vacation as just us two or something like that, but it's a great way to cultivate the identity of someone who is family oriented or someone who is about to uh, embark on a new identity as a mother, as a father, or something like that, right? But your identity as it relates to home and to family and all of that can be activated on your sun IC line, right? So I want you to notice something right here. Sun line identity, but you see how, depending on which sun line you go to, what part of your identity is being expressed or is being activated. That's where astrocartography comes in terms of being intentional. Because now, let's say that you are getting ready to launch your own business. Maybe you want to not only take a trip to your Sun MC line, but maybe you want to get into some remote activation for places on your Sun MC line to really garner up and foster that energy. Or maybe life has run you ragged the last couple of years and you're just like, I kind of need to get back to myself. I need to feel like myself again. Perhaps travel to your sun ascendant line, right? Maybe you're trying to figure out some relation stuff. Maybe you want to revitalize a relationship. You don't always have to travel to your Venus line. Your sun descendant line may also help in that regard, of course, depending on what the sun is doing in your natal chart. Right. So, as you can see, these four sun lines all deal with the same core topic of identity. However, they're expressed in four different ways. Okay. Now, the last thing I'll say about this is that it's not only where you travel, it's also when. You would want to work with an astrologer for this because this is a little more advanced, but whenever your sun is being activated in your natal chart by transit would also be a great time to travel to your sun ascendant, descendant, midheaven, or IC line. So adding transits on top of that is a great way to be super intentional. You don't have to, but it's sort of that little icing on the cake that may make a big difference. All right. So that's essentially your sun line in a nutshell. It's a complex branch of astrology, like I said before, but there are ways that you can use it readily and in a very sort of methodical sort of way so that you could take advantage of it without having to be a certified astrologer, right? And that's why I'm so excited to announce that I have just launched something that I recently created called Astrocartography Translated. So this is a master class that allows you to understand, doesn't allow you to understand, it helps you understand not only what astrocartography is, and the basics, but more importantly, how to use it to live intentionally. This is not a course that's going to make you, first of all, it's not a course, but it's a master class, but it's not intended to make you an expert or an astrologer when it comes to astrocartography. This is if you are someone who's like, I want to use this in my life, I'm an entrepreneur and this would help me. I need to, work on certain things in my life and maybe travel will help me do that, then this is definitely for you. Now, at the time that I'm recording this video, I have just launched the pre-sale, and the pre-sale will last until June 12th when we officially launch. Now, the pre-sale is great because not only is it slightly discounted, but you also get a personalized map inside. I will look at your astrocartography map, we'll discuss some intentions and some places that you're interested in, and then you will get a pre-recorded video, basically with a reading, a mini reading on places that you're interested in, or perhaps interests or intentions that you have that you would like to fulfill. All right. And so that's only included in the discounted price at pre-sale, which is happening right now. Now, if you're watching this after June 12th, you will see the link for the regular launch, right? The regular masterclass, and then you'll have the opportunity to also add on the personalized reading as well. But either way, all of that is in the description box below. My goal here at Divine Feminine Works is not to make you an astrologer. It's not to just teach you something complex. It's to distill this really important information so you can actually use it and help to live the life that you honestly want to live. And astrocartography is really one of those ways that you can do that. So if you are interested, the link for the pre-sale or the product, depending on when you're finding this, is in the description box below and linked to this video. I hope to see you in there. Oh, and not only is it a masterclass, you also get access to a private community called the Departure Lounge, where you can ask questions, communicate with other students. It's a whole vibe. So if you're interested, all of that information is in the description box below. All right, so now sound off in the comments below. Do you know where your sun line is? And extra bonus, have you traveled there? I would love to hear about it, and I'm sure the rest of the people in our community would like to as well. All right. So that's basically all I've got for you guys for this video. But like I said, stay tuned because this is the summer of astrocartography. So just by way of announcements and further talking about astrocartography translated, I will be offering the personalized reading with it only until Labor Day. So after Labor Day, you'll be able to get the masterclass, but only for the summer will you be able to add on a personalized reading. Now, my regular astrocartography readings are extensive. This is a mini reading, but it is your chance to get your foot in the door, not only with respect to your astrocartography map, but with how I work. So if you're interested, sign up sooner rather than later. All right. And like I said, stay tuned because there's more of this kind of content coming in the future. All right. And if you liked this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, and set notifications. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you would love to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member. Not only do you get early access to videos, but you get members only videos and something that I'm implementing called Chart Labs, where I go live, we dissect natal charts, and you have the opportunity to ask questions about your particular natal chart. So there are a lot of perks for being a channel member. So if you're interested, hit the join button below. All right, my loves, thank you so much for tuning in. Happy travels, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.